You think she's done with you, but what if her silence is actually her last way of trying? She doesn't say sweet things anymore. She doesn't start conversations. She doesn't tell you how she feels. So you tell yourself, she must be done. But maybe she hasn't left emotionally. Maybe she's just waiting for you to notice the quiet ways she still cares. Because men, we listen for words. But women, they often speak through gestures, through presence, through rhythm and routine. So today, I want to show you something most men miss. 7 subtle signs your wife still wants you, even if she's silent. If you've ever found yourself thinking, does she even care anymore? This might be the video that changes the way you see her forever. Let's look closer. And let's pause here. Before we talk about signs or solutions, let's talk about why so many good men miss the quiet truth right in front of them. It's not because we're clueless, or selfish, or emotionally dull. It's because we were taught something, quietly and constantly. We were taught that if nothing's wrong, everything must be right. No one ever said that out loud, but it's how we were raised. If she's not yelling, things must be okay. If she's not crying, we must be doing our job. If she's still in the house, still making dinner, still asking if you took your meds, then the marriage must be fine. But here's what no one told us. Women don't always leave with footsteps. Sometimes they leave in silence. They leave the space where connection once lived and retreat into duty, into routine, into survival. And we often don't notice. Not because we're bad husbands, but because we've been trained to listen for alarms, not for absence. We expect heartbreak to sound like a slammed door, but more often, it sounds like fewer questions, less laughter, a dinner table where only the silverware speaks. We don't realize she's drifting, because she still folds your laundry, because she still asks if you fed the dog, because the machine is still running, even if the soul inside it is tired. And let's be honest, we get tired too. Life wears us down. We go into provider mode, task mode, fix-it mode, and somewhere along the way, we start believing that showing up physically is enough. But here's the quiet truth. Women don't want just a man who stays. They want a man who sees. And the longer we don't see, the quieter she becomes. Not to punish, not to manipulate, but because the part of her that used to reach for you no longer feels welcome. And by the time she's stopped arguing, stopped asking, stopped hoping, we look up and wonder when the distance got so wide. It didn't happen in one night. It happened in the 1,000 moments we didn't notice she was trying. That's why this conversation matters. Because maybe, just maybe, you're not too late. Maybe she's still leaving small signs that she wants to be seen again. And maybe all it takes is learning how to read what's been there all along. So what are those signs? Let's walk through them together. We rarely notice the moment someone stops reaching, because there's no grand gesture, no slammed door, no final word, just a slow, quiet folding inward. A woman who was once all fire and feedback becomes someone you can't quite read anymore. The signs don't show up in headlines. They show up in small silences, in routines that used to feel warm, but now feel hollow. Let's look closely, one layer at a time. First, the arguments disappear. You used to go back and forth, sometimes loudly, sometimes late into the night. She'd challenge you, question you, push back. It wasn't always pretty, but it meant she was still invested. Now, nothing. She agrees too quickly, shrugs, walks away mid-sentence, and you think, finally, some peace. But silence isn't always a sign of healing. Sometimes it's what's left after she gives up trying to be heard. She's not fighting because she no longer believes her voice will change anything. She's not pushing because she's stopped expecting you to meet her halfway. And that resignation? It's one of the earliest signs of drift. Then comes the shift in how she speaks to you. She's polite now, careful, respectful in a way that feels sterile. The playfulness is gone. No teasing, no casual "hey love," just a formal tone, like a well-trained hostess at a dinner party. You ask her something, she answers with measured words, like she's walking on a stage, not sitting across the kitchen table. This kind of courtesy isn't closeness. It's a subtle barrier. She's not trying to hurt you. She's trying to protect herself. because vulnerability no longer feels safe. That's when you start to notice the physical gap. It's not about sex. It's about all the little touches that once filled your days. Her hand brushing yours on the couch. That quick squeeze on your shoulder in the hallway. Leaning her head on you during a quiet moment. Now, her body stays just a few inches farther away. And those inches say more than words ever could. You reach for her. She shifts. Not out of anger, just out of habit. She slowly stops reaching back. And when the physical distance becomes habit, the emotional distance settles in like dust on a shelf no one's cleaned in years. Soon her life begins to fill up, but you're no longer in the center of it. She joins a book club, signs up for yoga, visits her sister more often, plans a weekend with the grandkids, and tells you about it the day before. You're not excluded with hostility. You're just not needed in the plan. She's building a life around you, but not with you. At first it seems harmless. She's staying busy, independent, social. But if you're always the last to know, that's not independence. That's emotional separation. And it usually leads to another subtle fracture. She starts opening up to others more than to you. It might be her sister, her daughter, a close friend, even a stranger on Facebook. You overhear her sharing something that happened at the doctor's office. But it's the first time you've heard about it. You find out how she's feeling from someone else. And you realize you've stopped being her place of safety. Not because she's hiding from you, but because she no longer feels like you're listening when she does speak. She's tired of repeating herself, tired of being dismissed, or fixed, or brushed off. So she stops knocking on a door that hasn't opened in a while. Then, one day, you notice something even deeper. She no longer asks you what you think. Not about the trip, not about the house, not about the grandkids or the news or dinner. She just moves forward. Plans, decides, acts. You're informed, not included. And again, it's not about disrespect. It's about disconnection. When a woman stops asking for your thoughts, it means she's no longer imagining you as a partner in her inner life. She doesn't expect emotional availability. She doesn't expect interest. She doesn't expect presence. And that is perhaps the most devastating shift of all, because the last layer is the one hardest to name. She's still there. She smiles. She asks if you need anything from the store. She makes dinner. She kisses your cheek. But there's no fire behind the motion. She's fine. She's functioning. She's not unhappy. But she's not really happy either. It's a version of her you've never quite met. A woman who's accepted that this is her life now, that what you once had isn't coming back. She's not mad. She's not bitter. She's just quiet, like the sea after a storm. Still, flat, emotionally calm, but also emotionally gone. And you feel it, even if she never says a word. So here's the question. If any part of what you just heard feels familiar, what do you do? Because there's still time to turn toward her, still time to show up in ways that matter. But only if you recognize what's already fading. Let's talk about that next. If you recognized even one of those signs, your first instinct might be fear, maybe even guilt, maybe defensiveness, maybe the urge to do something grand and immediate. But I want to start here, with what not to do. Don't defend. Don't explain away the distance. And don't swing into panic mode, trying to fix everything overnight. Also, don't go silent, because silence is what got you here in the first place. And perhaps most of all, don't blame her. Don't accuse her of shutting down, pulling away, changing, because this isn't about blame. This is about return. And the truth is, you don't need big gestures. You need presence. Steady, gentle, sincere. Let me give you 3 simple actions that can begin to shift the air between you, without force, fear, or pressure. The first, lower your voice, raise your honesty. When you sit down with her, don't come armed with defenses or solutions. Come with softness. Say something real. And say it simply. Lately, I've felt us growing a little apart, and that matters to me. Let it hang there. Don't follow it with blame. Don't try to fix it right away. Let her feel your heart, without needing to give her a reason to push it away. This kind of softness is disarming, not weak, disarming, because it removes the armor, hers and yours. Second, break the rhythm. She expects a certain version of you now, maybe one that's quiet, distracted, half there. Maybe one that hasn't asked her how she feels in months. Surprise her, not with flowers or fancy dinners, but with attention. Pay attention to something small. Notice the way she pauses before speaking, or how she sets the table with care, even when no one else seems to notice. And then speak to that moment. Say, "I saw the way you looked at our grandson today. You looked proud and tired and full. I just wanted to say, that's the kind of love I admire." This breaks the routine. It tells her you're watching again, that she's not invisible, not to you. Third, ask without expecting. Ask her something simple, and then listen, not with the goal of solving or responding, but just hearing. How are you really feeling these days? Or, what's something you've been carrying that no one's noticed? Don't be surprised if she shrugs, or says, "I'm fine." That's okay. She's not testing you. She's protecting herself. But the more you ask, and hold space for the truth, without flinching or fixing, the more room she'll feel to return. Because what women want after 50 isn't perfection, it's presence, not promises, but proof that you're still in this, with your heart open. Now let's be real, this won't flip the switch overnight. She may not soften instantly. She may stay guarded, reserved. But that doesn't mean she's gone. It means she's waiting to see if this version of you is here to stay. So give it time, give it consistency, give it truth, not performance. The heart doesn't open under pressure. It opens under safety, and you have the power to create that safety again. And in doing so, you might just rediscover, not the woman you married, but the woman she's become, still waiting to be seen by you. Let's talk about how to close this, with strength, clarity, and one quiet call to action. Let's end where most men don't even begin, by acknowledging that noticing, truly noticing, is one of the most masculine things you can do. It doesn't take strength to fix a broken faucet. It takes strength to admit when something's been broken in silence, and you never saw it. But now you do. You've seen the signs. You've heard the stillness between the words. You've remembered what it used to feel like, to be looked at, not just seen. And that recognition, it matters, because sometimes the distance isn't the end. It's just a wake-up call, a gentle one, a final attempt from her heart to yours, saying, "I'm still here, but I can't reach you alone." Ends. Too many men wait until it's too late, until she's gone, not just emotionally, but physically, until the silence becomes a decision, until the routine becomes a goodbye. But you're here, listening, reflecting, and that makes all the difference. Because showing up emotionally, especially when things have grown cold, takes courage. It's not weakness, it's presence, it's leadership of the heart. So if any part of this felt familiar, if even one moment made you think, she's still trying in her own quiet way, then say it. To yourself, to her, to the part of you that might have gone quiet too. Type it in the comments. I see it now. Let that be your declaration. Not that you've figured it all out, but that you're willing to look closer, to listen better, to show up again. And if this spoke to something in you, don't stop here, because in the next video, I'll walk you through how to rebuild connection, even after years of silence. Yes, years. We'll talk about where to begin, how to invite her back in, without pushing, without guilt, how to hold space for softness again, and be the man she can lean into, not pull away from, because the marriage you want might still be right in front of you. Let's go find it together.